Welcome back. Here we are again. Okay. What I'm going to do is, I've made a decision. Sorry, I should use that so you can see where I'm pointing. I made a decision. This is going to be too dark. It looks, as you can tell, get rid of those. It looks nothing like this. This is much brighter. So what I'm going to do is show you, heading off in a different direction again, but I was going to do these on separate videos. I'm also doing it now. I'm going to basically ignore the fact that I use that Chrome to start off with, and I'll show you how I do Chrome layers. Particularly works better on smaller layers with text. That comes up really well, but I can still kind of do it on this. So what I do, just ignore those for the moment, take that, Control C, so I've just literally copied that, create a new layer, Control V, just to put it back over there. Now what I'm going to do with that, actually I'll leave that highlighted, is fill that with grey. Probably that one there. Yeah, about the middle of the, as you can see, it's about the middle. Yeah, it's not bad. Fill that. Control left arrow. Then create another layer. Oh, sorry, I'll zoom in a bit there. So all I've done, there's the one underneath, which I could actually just put to sleep for a minute. There's that one. Now, new layer. Control V, because it was the last thing you copied, it's still in there. So that's now going to drop this in here, but what I will do is colour this, shade it, perhaps is a better word. And if you go white to black, and you go actually by linear, I'll leave it there, I'll actually show you what happens here. If you change that to linear, once again the light coming in here, so you go light to dark, and all it's doing is white to black progressively. So if I just undo that, Control Z, but if I go bilinear and do something like, if I go from the centre out to the corner, it'll give you this effect. Now, I know I said I would normally do it that way, the light's coming in here, but there's another tool I'm going to use at the moment that kind of reverses that. It's just something I'm aware of, so I will leave it that way. So all it really is, it's darker over here, and it appears like that will revert in a little while. So what I want to do is use that as an overlay. See, there's that one, there it is underneath. So I'm going to merge this down to this, but I need to reduce the opacity of this, or that's all you will see. Merging it down, it'll just completely, it'll be a pointless exercise. So what I do, I go up to opacity. This is just something I worked out myself long ago. That's just a system I use. So about 25% for me is quite normal. Right click that layer and merge down, and it'll literally merge it into the layer on top of the layer. And there, as you can see, this has a slight hint of this lighter colour coming through here. So then we go to layer, layer effects, bevel and boss. Now I want to bevel this like I did initially, and I guess that's about right. 10, 4, 3. These I'll leave the same. Once again, 80 and about 40 merge with layer. That'll go. You can experiment with this. Does all sorts of odd things. So that's basically done what I did before, but as you can see, it's lighter and darker down the bottom, and it's done the reverse in here because the light will hit this and shaded there. But then, as you can see, this light here is still looks wrong. But that will be sorted. So from there, so that's done what I want. From there, we now go in, and this is the magic chroming tool. It's not really, it's just curves. Now, this is, you can see what it does. And you can start, sorry, I'll zoom back out. You can start, you can drag and drop, does all sorts of odd things, right? Depending on, so you can hit reset. Now what I've done is I've saved some that I've developed, that being one of them, and that's the one I'll actually use. I'll show you some others, but as you can see, the way I set this up, it now reverts to basically putting light through there, darkness through there, which is what I want. And that's that bilinear shading I was doing before, but as an alternative, and you can actually, you can copy that, that doesn't bother me. Not that one, there's another one there, you can see it's perhaps a bit sharper, but it doesn't change these around. I would have had to do the shading the other way to use that one, but it's, once again, it's too dark. I don't want to do that. There's basically 3 I did. There's the other one. Just slightly different again, but you can see what it does up here. Perhaps, and you'll notice these. We'll get to that in a minute. You'll notice these, which is what I quite like. I don't mind these highlights. So if I go reset, go back to the one I'm going to use, which is that one, which I think is just a bit more subtle. I don't like it being too in your face, so I don't mind that. But if you, so I'll go OK. But if you zoom in, see these. These are basically where the colour, well, the shade is actually changing, and it's just, it does have a name, escapes you, can't remember what it's called, but common problem. But what I do to get rid of that is another one of some gear, the plugins I downloaded called Cumic, or Cumic QT to be precise. This one's kind of interesting. It does a lot of things. As you can see, there's a million things in here. But if I go to Antistropic, which it's in, I can drag, this is just a zoom of this, I can drag it across. I can also hold control, mouse wheel, zoom in again, and see I've set this up. Most of this, once again, have a look at those. Most of these I'll leave the same. That one I know I put up to 1, that I put up to 100. And this is the iterations, that's actually iterations, that's actually what they call these. You can vary this, but if you go too far, you need to be a little careful. So I set that at 4 normally, sometimes 5, and then apply. And if I zoom in, I get a slightly better version about there. I don't know how well you'll be able to see this. It takes a while. You can see how much processing it takes to do. And the higher you do this, the more it takes, the longer it takes. Sometimes I do this twice, because if you set it up this way, it doesn't deteriorate. You can see they almost disappear. They're still just there. But see, it makes no difference around here. So what I'll do, I will do that again. Settings are still there, so I don't have to bother resetting anything, and that'll probably do. Once again, you've never noticed this on a watch. Just the sort of detail I mess around with. Fortunately, no way to speed this up. But I'll show you the difference in a moment. I may even lighten the whole thing. Now that's, I'll go OK just to get out of that. That's not bad. I can live with that. Now if I put, there's the old one there. That's the difference. Now I prefer that, but what I'll actually do, keep that one active. I'll probably make that, go back into curves. And there was one of these I saw pop up. So you can do it even twice, but to me that's not realistic. But anyway, there you go. It's just lighten it. Now to me, okay, let's see, it's highlighted these, a bit chromy. Perhaps those are more noticeable, but to me that is closer to that. Still needs work, but getting there. If you overlay those over the top, there now, they look far better. Get rid of that. They look far better than they did. So I'm happy with that. I'm going to leave that like that. I will do a drop shadow in the center here, finish the rest of this, and then post it. It'll be done. Get back here. Sorry. Once again, I will keep that. No reason to get rid of it. Might come in handy for some reason. They're all the ones I'm keeping. So that's it there. I'll probably drop that at the top so I can just toggle that off and on. So what I'll do now is the rest of these numbers, and then this ring. I'll get back to you before I do that because there's a little bit of messing around there, and then this one up here as well. So I'll be back shortly. Okay, I'm back. I've added all of those, as you can see. That one. Just for your own interest, what you can do is merge these layers together, which you could merge that one to that one, and then those two to that one, and that's fine because they're all on that inner, as you can see, that one, and that one. Except sometimes I like to play around with these, particularly in GIMP, where I might want to highlight some, so it doesn't really matter. I tend to leave them in different layers. It really doesn't make any difference. Now the next thing I've got to do is this, right? Now I've measured that, and it's basically in between the center of the bottom of that, top of those, it's virtually in the center, and it's about 10 wide. I've just measured that using this tool, and it's about 8 or 10, something like that. Because it's blurry, who really knows? It's not overly relevant. So what I need to do, just get rid of that measurer. And so what I've done is I've drawn, well not drawn, I've just worked out the bottom of that there. Sorry, the bottom of the text on my text, not on that image. Get rid of that. Bottom of those, and then I've done another one inside on the top of that, halved it, and that works out at that line there, that guide. So I set that guide there for that reason. So what I'll do is go over either side of that guide, probably make sure it's on there. I'll show you what I mean. I will have to create a new layer before you get it, because once you drop something on an old layer, you've basically got to undo it and redo it again. So we'll try it. Sorry, that's the top, that is wrong. That one there, that's basically the center. So if I go to 4, I'll go 5 either side of that. Change that because we want to go internal, or inside the circle. We'll do about the same there. We'll do 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can measure that. That's 5 there, 10 in total. So I've still got the same color loaded. That's the active layer. So we fill that. Basically see what that looks like. And as you can see, that's not, yeah, I reckon that's not bad. If I put that back underneath, yep, pretty happy with that. I can live with that. Now the only difference is, of course, there is a cutout at the top here, which is very relevant because that's where that goes in. Now, hide that for a moment. If I do a circle, now that's laying back, and we'll do that in a moment. It's coming off the circle. It's coming off the picture behind, but that's about the width of it. So if as you can see, I'm bringing this back to the center. That's the center there. I've taken it once again. Not really watching what I'm doing. That's about the center. You see, it won't quite line up with the center, which means this is not an equal number, which is a bit weird, but it happens a lot. Yeah, 109, so you can't halve 109. So what you can do is take those two off, come back to the center, drop that in one, which will make it 108, and I suspect it's probably one out that way as well, but you can measure that to make sure, just for the moment, 108. Put those back on, click back on that, now that's back in the center. And it's about there. So just for the moment, we'll make that the active layer. We'll get rid of that. We actually need to go out further than that. It's a circle there. Okay, what we'll do, we'll draw this first. This is a little bit of trial and error. I've taken those off so I can adjust this, make it into an oval. And it's a slight oval because it's slightly laying back, so it'll give the perception it's doing the same. And if I come in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe about 7, top and bottom, see what it does. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's too far. So I'll take that back. That'll make that 6 on either side. That's slightly, get rid of that. That'll work. I might have to move this up slightly because, once again, this image is not actually correct. But what I'll do is I'll create another layer and I'll just infill that. I'll maybe go for that grey I was using before. It might come in handy. Might be a bit dark though. I think we'll go down a little bit there. Control left arrow, we'll fill that. As I said, that might have to move because I'm fairly certain. I'll put this now at the top. No, it might. Okay. Now roughly it's about 8 or 9 pixels clear of that. So get rid of that. We'll just lay. This is a quick way to do this. Almost a cheat's way. That's what we infilled before. So basically if we go out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Go 8, 9 there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. If you want to be technically correct, they need to do the same top and bottom. Nine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's good. Now come back to this one, I think it is. That's the active layer. Hit delete. Gets rid of those, as you can see, and that pretty well leaves that same margin around there. Now I'll just do a quick measurement here of this picture to the edge. It's rounded there, so I'll come to, actually I'll take it off the top, it makes more sense. That's about 76. So if I measure off the top, 73, it's near enough. I can leave it where it is. It really doesn't matter. Okay, now that needs to be sorted. But now what I have to do is highlight everything here. Now there's a real easy way to do that, but I don't do it that way because that's just too easy. If you come to out of numbers, highlight that one. That's probably the best way to demonstrate. This is this problem I showed you before. And if you want to use that one, it'll now pick up anything that colour. But see this lousy, crappy job of doing this. So what I now do, I won't show you this because once again it'll bore you to tears, is I highlight every one of these individually so I can be accurate. For instance, if I do this one here, I just start on the first one on here, try to be fairly accurate, but stay within this, and there's a reason for that. It's a bit of guesswork, something like that. Because what will happen, I'll remove that, I'll actually literally delete it out of here, put a slight bevel in here, which will give it a highlight as well. Then I lay this back over, and then I do something on that as well. So you've got to do each one of these. Now you have to change this. Go to the next one. Oh, you know, depends on the level of detail you want. This is the sort of level of detail I want, but it comes at a cost, and that's a ridiculous amount of mucking about. Like so. What you need to try to do is stop coming out here, because it'll show up later. So I'll be back shortly. I'll bring you back just very shortly. I've started doing these. What I didn't explain is when you mark out something like this, you need to mark out the center, which is a cutout. So, you know, 4 is the inside of that P there, for instance. So you change it to this one, and you quite literally, as I said, err on the side of staying in the black if need be, because the black will go back over it, basically hiding any mistakes. Then go back to that one and then start doing the next one. So I'll see you in a while. Okay, I'm back. Now I've realised I've made an error. I'll fix this later. You don't need to watch it. I've actually missed that section there and those two there. I don't know why I've just noticed that. So if I undo that, and see it's missing. I just want to show you this before I go any further. So I just highlighted everything on there. Right, now that's there. Now there's a couple of different ways you can do this. I want to inset it basically. So you can do, I think I Control I think I have to invert it, make sure that's the active layer. Don't click off this if you can avoid it. You can go backwards, but you lose all of these, which has taken so long to highlight. But if you go Filters, Decor, this is not what I'm going to do, but I just want to show you this. Add Bevel. Now what it's done, you can see what it's actually done. So if I lay those back over, you can actually see that's kind of the effect I'm after. So if I do that, it gives you a better idea, which I don't mind, but I just undo everything there. What we'll actually do is, I think that's still inverted. Oops, no, it's actually, we'll eventually Don't know why it won't undo what I've just done. That's interesting. Okay, don't know why I've lost it. I've obviously reached the maximum 300. No, I know exactly why. Because I didn't check the box, it's actually started a new layer. That's why I've got no undo. What an idiot. No, that's alright. Now if I delete those, sorry, invert it, delete those sections out. I think this is the way I'll do it. Yeah, click off it now. Be back there. There we go, layer. Once again, I will have to Control C, copy the whole thing, add a new layer. You can see what's involved in this. It's not easy. So we'll keep, doesn't really matter which one, they're identical. I'll work on that one. That's just a spare because I think when I do it this way, I'll go layout, layer effects, bevel and boss. We'll see what that does there. It's going to affect the outside of here way too much. Right, that's what I thought would happen. You can see it's a lot more symmetrical than the other bevel. I sometimes use it, sometimes don't. So if we go back here, we'll cut this down a lot. Go there about 2, probably about 1. Oh, we might try to round it a bit. Take that down. About 422. We'll see what that does. Yeah, it's perhaps more subtle. So I like a bit of, but I would like the white reflective a bit more. So we'll go back here, bevel and boss. We'll increase this, the depth increases this, and we'll take the white up. See what that does. That's not bad. We're up to about 20 minutes again, a bit over I think, so I'm still not gonna get this done, but I'm close. What I'll do though, just to show you, so I'm quite happy with that. I can live with that. Now if you lay these back in, it's quite honestly laying them back where they were, doesn't look bad. I'll get rid of that one because I'll do something a bit different there. But as far as all of these go, if I have to remember, I did work this out once before. We go into layer effects. It's bevel and boss again, obviously. I think it's an inner. Change that to about there. 632. But we actually change that to code. 140. Merge with layer. Try that. That's the one. It gives you this reflection. I'll do it on, you can see it's done it on everything that I had saved on there. Let's just start that again. I actually want, could merge all these together as I said. We'll highlight that one. I go back here, layer effects, bevel and boss, 632, 100 and about 40. That's the effect I'm after. So you get the reflection internally. So once again, gives it depth. So if we go to each layer, what's that one? That's those internals. You can just repeat bevel and boss. Control F redoes the last command. See, it does it there as well. That's these little ones. Control F. Yeah, quite happy with that. Okay, there's these bigger internal numbers. I'd like to just keep track of it. Control F. You can see it makes it darker. That's why I actually didn't want it to be too black, or you tend to lose this effect, which is why I use that 555555. Control F. Yes, that works well in there, like that. The last one is this round one. Now that's quite a different, but that's almost finished. I'll have to call it quits there. I'm sorry, so I'll finish it, I promise, on the next one, and then we'll continue on the rest of the build. Bye.